I was invited by the Lithuanian Institute of Art to lecture on modern textile and to research folk art. I arrived in Vilnius on February 8, 1990, equipped with an 8mm video camera. During my 3-month stay, the events that occurred between Lithuania and the Soviet Union echoed around the globe and stayed with us.
Ačiū. We are in Vilnius, yes, and in a hotel or high party school.
What's a high party school?
Ready-made meals you can buy here. Here is written, piano baras is milk bar. Coffee or tea with cakes, yo, Margaret? Well?
One word. What it's in English, where men's and women's lived, kaip pasakyti, nu, asketiškai, dar kaip ten. Kaip pasakyti? Cluster.
Now here is a hospital, but in the old time it was a cluster.
This place, police. Prison. Prison, yes. And I think this finest prison in Europe, because in church.
Because we, as usually, understand art more deeply and more sensitive. And contemporary art, I think it's typical in America, is more decorative. And it pay attention to the decorative and effect, effect. Our artists try to take for the pictures more deeply meaning and philosophical meaning. It's more closely, and we concentrate in a serenity inside. People, or Lithuania people, they concentrate inside, and maybe it's not so also effective and so different in so rich in colors and more concentrated. In very tragical situation in our society. Tragic conflict in our society.
Yeah. What kind of conflict?
Margaret, it's a very difficult to answer. We are very closely connected with the old culture, with our culture, with nature. Yes, because we remember the mythology.
In Lithuania, February 16th is the day of celebrating the 1918 Declaration of Independence. Each city and village participates. I traveled with friends to Kaunas to join in the dedication of a reconstructed war memorial. Each stone in the monument came from a site where soldiers died for freedom.
Because we are getting more freer every year, and those previous year, 40 years, were the years of hard regime and hard politics, and everything was abandoned concerning freedom and liberty. And now everything is available.
This is the land of crosses, this is the land of sorrow, and today this is Lithuania, the land of hope.
As Independence Day ends in the capital city of Vilnius, people gather in the cathedral to offer thanks and praise. 2 days later, I was meeting with artists at an international enamel workshop in the Baltic town of Palanga.
For a long time, nobody knew about us. And nobody had possibility to introduce with our culture.
That's the exciting thing about now, really, is the access. You can actually get in. And, I mean, just on our television, we're beginning to get the first pictures of Lithuania or other parts of Russia, which in the past, Red Square was Russia. I mean, and probably the military wing was Russia. And nothing else. We had no idea, apart from, say, the Russian ballet or something touring in your country, one or two musicians. You had no real picture. And there's a lot here, but it has not been on show, and it's just beginning to get into sort of public relations almost, and suddenly you get the feeling anything's possible. Maybe the Russian people seem more intense than we do when they're working, but there's more sort of drama, more sort of, I don't know, there's a cultural background that's probably not been mixed with television commercials and all the things we, you know, the universal language of the West. They're slightly isolated, and that makes them slightly interesting. There's an interest there in the way they're nationalistic, so many little things, where they are, where they're from, definitely, and the mixture of London and American TV and Australian TV now and all the other things I'm bombarded with. It's going to be a very good time, I think.
Самое страшное то, что его пришлось весь срезать и захоронить. А теперь проблема, что с ним делать и куда его девать, потому что его надо переработать и сжечь. Сжечь без дыма, сохранив радиоактивные отходы, а потом эти радиоактивные отходы собрать и упрятать.
And this work is called brown forest, because this forest was near the Chernobyl, and it happened then. In a short time it become brown color, this forest, and all the forest was breaking, no? Margaret?
Yes.
Yes, and now is problem in what way they can preserve these dangerous materials who are left from this forest. He says that man couldn't live without beliefs, without belief in something. I have my own God, he says. Yes, and he created his own God inside and believes them. And he liked to show for the people his own thru.
Going to dance you, to show you a dance.
Wandering and lingering by the Baltic Sea, refreshing and calming, full of surprises.
No, попроси грошей, дітей.
returned to Vilnius the day local and republic elections had begun. They were the first multi-party elections in the Soviet Union since the 1917 vote for the Constituent Assembly. I visited with teachers at the secondary art school. The political situation affected everyone.
At the same time, you must read newspaper and to listen to your wife, which talk also about only politics. When my child returned from school, also about the same problem, about the politics and so on and so on.
Linus and Gytis are members of Sąjūdis, the Lithuanian reform movement established June 3, 1988. Through Sąjūdis, political consciousness and structure began to appear for the first time in 50 years. It is a model to other republics as well, working for self-determination.
It's sometimes very hard because some years ago we forced to be members of any party. When we can now really choose what you want. Someone of us wants anything. You didn't want sometimes to belong to any one movement. But also, I and he, I suppose, really we are patriots,
individually.
but also we are supporters of Sąjūdis. It's no question.
Okay. Why do you like Sąjūdis?
You see, it's a sort of movement, and it's a wave which wake up Lithuania.
The what? Wake up?
Wake up Lithuania.
Yes.
Okay.
It's enough.
It's moving of whole our country.
Because our country now, it's 10 years or 20 or 50 years was in a deep sleep.
It's not free, yes. And I think, my work such that we are not free.
How does your work help you think about laisvę, freedom, or nepriklausomybę?
I think that how I make all my life and try always think about nepriklausomybę, how to say, about freedom.
People's art in the streets and marketplaces was especially prominent at events like Kazukio Turgus, which celebrates the transition from winter to spring.
The crosses are written, "Oh God, help for independence of Lithuania."
Outside the town of Cholet is the Hill of Crosses. It is a cultural and religious monument known since the 13th century. During the Stalin period, 7,000 crosses were bulldozed. Rebuilt in 1975, each day, crosses and other religious symbols are added in prayer for the deceased, for independence, for freedom fighters.
Nemažas dvasinės ir politikos reikšmės, jausdamasi įgaliota Lietuvos pilietį.
March 11th, 1990 will be remembered as the beginning of the end of the Russian Empire. March 11th, the first session of the newly elected Lithuanian parliament continues. Vytautas Landsbergis is elected president. 1,000 gathered at the Supreme Soviet. Most people were watching the session on television. I left briefly for a tea break and joined other significant parts of society. As each member votes UJ, the affirmative vote to re-establish the independent Republic of Lithuania is secured and celebrated. In solidarity, ovations ring out for Baltic solidarity. UJ Estonia, UJ Latvia.
laisva, Estija bus laisva, Estija bus laisva, Estija bus laisva, Estija bus laisva. Estija bus laisva, Estija bus laisva, Estija bus laisva, Estija bus laisva.
Well, I'm not that optimistic, well, because I think that now we can declare just everything, but we should also see the things that could happen this night, tomorrow morning, tomorrow night, the days after, well, and the days after, I see. Well, everything can happen. There can be Soviet tanks, there can be riots, there can be violence.
The new spirit of independence thrives no matter what. People gather hope for the future and remnants of the past. The Lithuania that votes for reform and self-determination is rooted in village life. This is Smilgate, the village where my father was born in 1903. Now collectivized, there is still pride in the old ways. Churches and cemeteries continue to nurture communion with the past, present, and future. With independence, how will village life influence and contribute to the new structures of free market and global consciousness? How will new generations respect and preserve the legacy of the past, the collective memory of ancestral tradition?
Many people went to Panevėžys to work in industry.
Art Academy was across the street from the occupied publishing center. The visual protest was quickly conceived and enthusiastically executed by students.
It's occupied by Russian soldiers, and it's the newspapers are printed here, and they would not let us print our newspapers. So we're trying to make a joke out of this.
Okay. A telegram to Mr. Gorbachev explaining our position according to his declaration to Lithuanian people, which we do not accept, and we express our support to our legally elected government and the decisions of our government, and we are sending the same text to our Supreme Soviet of Lithuanian Republic, to Mr. President Vytautas Landsbergis.
Who is we?
That is we?
Yeah.
We mean, people that work in our museum.
I see. How many people?
Over 300 people.
Oh.
And I think that most of organizations and factories in Lithuania are doing the same. So if you go to our central post office, you will see crowds of people which are doing the same, simply sending telegrams to Moscow and to Vilnius, and very many people, private people, are sending telegrams to Mr. Gorbachev. And we're also saying in this telegram that we're expressing our protest against the deeds of Soviet army in our territory, which are illegal.
You know, in this stagnation period, the exhibitions of folk art was, was becoming more little and little, and nowadays, with this opening on with this glasnost and perestroika, we can look on the entire our cultural heritage and show essential things, not only which are acceptable by the policies and authorities. And so we are showing now on this exhibition almost all what we have of the folk painting, for example. And before this, it was only few pieces exhibited, because it is too much religious, too much Catholic.
On April 7th, people from across Lithuania traveled to Vilnius and gathered in Vingis Park for the first public gathering since the March 11th declaration. Crowd estimates were various. The newspaper reported 300,000.
In this time, about 50,000.
And what's expected to happen? Who are the speakers and where is everybody from?
I think that in this is Estonian peoples, Latvian peoples.
Maybe about about 100,000.
Okay.
Yes. The first meeting in independent Lithuania.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And tell me, you are the director at Lithuanian TV?
Yes. I'm director of Lithuanian TV.
Okay. And what's Lithuanian TV doing today and all that?
Oh, what we are doing today? We think that Lithuania will be nepriklausoma. Will be independent.
In the middle of a speech by President Landsbergis, a Soviet helicopter flies low over the crowd and drops leaflets to urge people to give up their pursuit of freedom. The people respond with cries of shame and Lithuania is free.
Don't pay attention, we are also interested in our problems. And have no paper, it's a problem to open newspapers, and so they are throwing so many papers.
Palm Sunday occasioned another public sharing of the traditional and colorful verba, along with other liturgical and public events. Later that day, 3,000 people gather and picket at the publishing center in Vilnius. Members of the new parliament were successful in on-site negotiations to defeat the attempts of Soviet soldiers to dislodge the civilian volunteer security forces. It's Easter Sunday, and people from all walks of life gather to worship. Resurrection and liberation themes are awesome and immediate. In response to the hardship of the fuel blockade, an optimistic, resilient people turned to their bicycles, one of their many nonviolent forms of protest. But the streets are a stage for everyone. The Red Army parades every May 9th to commemorate their World War II victory over the Germans.
And I am working now in the Supreme Council on the problem of soldiers, gathering information, trying to help, and so on. And it's only pity that we have very little means to help. You know, we hope that this spring there won't be young men taken into the Soviet army. We hope so.
Ludwika, artist, translator, wife, mother, chooses to put artistic work aside in order to work for the needs of political reform. Many artists continue to work and exhibit. Some specifically incorporate aspects of current events in their work.
And you're a sculptor.
I am a ceramic.
In ceramics.
Yes, but I work everything, and no problem, I think, because I'm an artist, I think so. I do what about I'm thinking.
Do you feel free?
I try to feel free.
What's it like when you feel free?
I try to think free.
Yeah.
And when I do it, I feel free.
Oh, what are some of your free thoughts?
Well, for example, it's my art.
Your art. Like at the exhibition hall?
Yes, of course. Something like electronic watch. And the day when the independence of Lithuania was declared. And it went from here to this object. And here was red substance. And it was in such order. We have gone to here.
That we live in a wonderful time now. And there's no other way. No step back, only forwards.
Yes.
And I suppose that it's only a question of a time that the whole things is going only to one direction. And I didn't want to compare for example, a time which I lived 5 or 10 years ago. It's awful, because a time of uncertainty, of dangerous, unbelieving. And now we live in conditions of a hope.
Everyone, in his own way, decides for himself.
Yes.
So, you know, and it's really very exciting to see, like, people who maybe never thought they will be in such a situation. Suddenly are, so to say, are very noble. And so on.
Great.
So it's really something extraordinary going on.
I see.
So maybe it seems to Westerners that the economic blockade is a great problem. We do not see it as a great problem. I do not think really that there are going to be such tragedies as there were in the past. And these temporary difficulties, well, maybe we need them just to consolidate, just really to try to help one another, to try to carry, well, your brother's burden.
Outside the Vilnius Cathedral on Sunday, April 29th, the symphony plays Beethoven's Ninth at the request of President Landsbergis. Other countries of Eastern Europe were simultaneously celebrating in the same joyous manner.
Many people really feel optimistic about the outcome of the blockade or anything, just because they feel spiritually okay that we must overcome, that we must endure, and this is only one more trial.